Hey guys, Ike here from Mike'sOutdoors.com. I want to talk to you today about my practice sessions, especially before season, how I practice. One of the things that I notice, I see a lot of people, I think, kind of messing up, is by not practicing in the gear that they use to hunt with. When I shoot, I use a back tension release, and it's very important that I am able to shoot with a glove on because of the way you operate a back tension release. But it's just as important for you guys that are shooting anything with a trigger, wrist strap release, or anything like that to get a feel for it with your gloves on. Now that doesn't mean that you have to shoot with that all the time, every day. I mean, I definitely don't. But especially as it comes getting a little closer to season, I'll get some of my lightweight hunting gloves out and I'll actually start using them and getting accustomed to them. Same way with my shirts. You know, it's a little hot right now to be doing it, but gets a little closer to season, I'll start getting my long sleeve jacket or long sleeve shirts out and start shooting with them to see if I'm going to get any contact up here, or if I'm going to get any contact here. And I got mosquitoes all over the place. But as the season progresses, like starts getting a little bit colder, I'll start getting my jackets out and I'll start shooting with those too to see if it's going to bunch up and I'm going to get contact with those. So it's really important to know how your clothing is going to affect you when you shoot. And one of the most important things is your glove, especially for me shooting back tension. But you guys that are shooting anything else too, it's really important to know how that trigger is going to feel with you got a glove on. And I generally don't wear a glove on my right hand at all, and I'll just hold my bow with my left hand and I'll have a glove on it, and I'll keep my right hand either in my pocket or I'll keep it in a hand warmer on my stomach or something like that to keep it warm. Now if it's really cold, then I'll put on a glove that I can easily slip off if I see a deer. So I try not to shoot with the glove on, but it's just my personal preference. The other thing that I do when it comes close to season, generally anytime, especially for 3D and stuff like that, is I'll sight my bow in at 20 yards, and then after I sight my bow in at 20 yards, I'll move back to 30, 40, and that's about as far as I can shoot here. But I try to make each practice session 30 yards or further, because 20 yards is easy for me. It's probably easy for most of you guys out there, and I will practice it a little bit. For the majority of my shooting, though, I practice from 30 yards and beyond. And the reason for that is I want to be comfortable at those distances. So if you start out at 30 and you start out at 35, 40, however far you want to shoot, you're going to find that you're going to get better at those ranges, and you're going to get more comfortable shooting at those ranges, especially as your confidence gets higher. And you'll watch, I'll come out here at 30 yards, it's first of the year, which I don't really take much time off except usually during season or when it's really cold outside. And my group at 30 will be like this, and as I shoot more and more, it'll shrink down to where I can get a good probably 3.5 inch group at 30 yards, and then maybe about a 4-inch group at 40 yards, and so on. So practice at distances longer than 20 yards, and make it a majority of your shooting further out there than 20 yards. The other thing that I do is I try to set up, I can't really shoot from a tree stand because I don't have any place to shoot here, but if you've got a way to shoot out of a tree stand, definitely shoot out of a tree stand. Or like my cousins do, they get up on top of their building outside and shoot off of it. It's got a flat roof on it, it's easy to get up there, so they get up on top of it and shoot off of it. The downward angle, you got to shoot a little bit differently for a downward angle, so you want to practice that as much as possible if you're going to be hunting out of a tree stand. The other thing is, if you're going to be spotting and stalking and you may have to shoot off your knees, practice shooting off your knees. Any situation out in the woods that you think you're going to have to run into, practice those shots. I used to practice laying on my back, because not really shooting off my back, but I'd draw off my back and raise up and shoot. And it was tough, and it would get me ready for scenarios that I hopefully would never even run into, but if I did run into them, I was ready for them. The other thing is I shoot at a 3D deer when it gets close to season, and the reason for that is those angles. Try to get a 3D deer or something like that and imagine where the organs are going to be, the chest cavity, the lungs, the heart, and then start shooting and start imagining the exit hole on that. And what am I going to hit? Am I going to hit the lungs? Am I going to hit the heart? Am I going to hit the liver with this shot? And you'll start realizing that your entry hole from an elevated stand needs to be just a little bit higher than what it does on flat ground, because you're shooting at a downward angle. And the shorter the shot is from a tree stand, the steeper that downward angle is. I've shot some almost in the spine because they've been so close. I've been literally shooting straight down and shot them almost in the spine to try to get the arrow to come out down here. So start shooting at 3D deer. That way you can get your downward angle. You know how to do that when you get in the woods, and when you face that for real life, you'll face that. You'll be ready for that. The other thing I do, and I use targets. You can use whatever you want to, but I set my 3D deer up, and I'll actually take another target. I've got a block target or a hips target, and I'll take that and I'll actually put it in front of the target to where all I can see is the vitals, or I'll put it in front of the head, or I'll put it down toward the guts or something like that, to where I just got. I'm not gonna block the vitals, but I want to get it in an area where the vitals. I'm gonna have to miss the block to hit the vitals, and that gets you ready for those situations where if you pull left or pull right, you're gonna hit a tree, you're gonna hit a limb, you're gonna hit a branch or whatever. And so try to replicate as many of those situations as you can when you're practicing. And the reason I use the targets, because if I do pull right or left and I actually end up hitting the target, well, at least I hit the target, not something, piece of wood or something like that, and ruin my arrow. So if you can imagine it out in the woods, then try to replicate it at home. This is no different than baseball is a prime example. If you go if you're playing baseball and the pitcher during practice just throws you softballs all day long, and I mean they're bigger than normal, and if he's just underhand pitching them to you, it's slower than normal, it's a lot easier to hit. And then when you get ready for the game, if that guy on the mound has a wicked curveball he can throw 75 miles an hour or whatever you're running into, that's a whole different game, and that's a whole different scenario than trying to hit that softball someone's lobbing at you. So set yourself up in your practice sessions so that when it comes time to get that curveball, you're ready for it. You're ready to swing, and you're ready to hit that thing over the fence. So that's how I practice. Basically, any scenario that I can replicate at home in a safe manner that's going to be similar to those that I'm going to face in the woods, that's what I'm going to do at home. And it has really helped me out in the woods, and really helped me to become a better at knowing when to take the shot, when not to take the shot. And it's really made my confidence is higher because of the way I'm shooting, and it's made me more prepared for those scenarios that you're going to run into that are just wild and crazy. And I can tell you something, guys, I've been hunting for, this is going to be my 23rd season this year, and if it's happened, I mean, if it can happen, it's happened to me. I mean, I hope all the bad stuff that could happen has happened to me, but I've seen some wild stuff out there, and I've seen some shots and some deer do things that I never thought they would do. And I've been lucky a few times, been able to pull off some shots, but most of the time it comes down to those practice sessions and getting yourself ready for that scenario. So I hope this tip helps, and for more tips, more product reviews, how-to videos, be sure to check out our website, ikesoutdoors.com. Appreciate you guys watching.